Hi there. I am going to talk about my new tank, which I'm super excited about. It's I'd say it's my second dirted tank. Oh, sorry, I'm stretching. Oh, the light is too bright. This is going to be my second dirted tank ever. And I'm really excited because my first tank was a colossal failure. And I'm hoping I actually learned something this time. Fidgety, I want to open my mail. This time, and I'm going to try in this video not to say 40,000 times, because I just listened to my last one. Not so much. I'm going to talk today about my new dirted tank and try to use what I've been learning. I've been looking on YouTube at Dustin's fish tanks quite a bit. I bought his dirted tank guide. And I'm just going to try to follow that and follow some things I learned on Aquatic Plant Central and give this dirted tank thing a go. I really am into the idea of, rather than putting chemicals in the tank, just giving the plants a similar environment to what they experience in the wild. That makes the most sense to me, to just put the nutrition down at the roots where they can most easily access it and let them go to town. So, I purchased the Miracle-Gro Organic Choice potting mix, and I purchased some laterite, which hasn't gotten here yet from Amazon. I'll be doing that as soon as I get it. I'm going to be mixing that in. Today, I was going to follow one of the things that Dustin talked about was getting, for calcium for the roots, getting a couple of oyster shells or crushed coral. I didn't get oyster shells, but I was able to find, this is a ½ pound of crushed coral at my local mom and pop pet shop, the Wet Spot, for $1. So I am going to be mixing that in with my layer of dirt. What I'm going to do now, I was just Googling this and I can't really find an answer for what I want to do, just mix it in with my dirt, about whether I should rinse it or not first. I figure it's going to get wet all the time in the dirt, so I don't know. I'm just going to give it a quick rinse. I don't think it'll hurt anything. Who knows? It might help some of the new tank cloudiness, because if you see that, there is a bunch of cloudiness. So I'm going to pour that out. Try not to let the coral go down the drain. One more rinse, okay. And I don't really know if this is... Yeah, so you can see there's still some cloudiness. It's not nearly as bad. Okay, so I hope this didn't come from like a crushed up coral reef. That makes me sad. I always wonder about that kind of thing when I buy coral products. So anyway, there it is. I'm putting this in a I think it's a 20-gallon long, so that's a ½ pound of crushed coral in a 20-gallon long. We'll see if that's good or not. What I've been doing while I'm waiting for the laterite to get here is I've got my Miracle-Gro Organic Choice potting mix in another tank, which is my 15-gallon haul. It's in there. I've moistened it, and it's in there just sort of drying out. So I think what I'm going to do is put that in the actual tank when I get my laterite going here. I'm so excited about this tank, I can't even tell you. I wonder, okay, I want to show this to you, but I don't want massive glare. You know, it's 3 p.m., so the sun's setting. Okay. Okay, this is the tank that it's going in. I think it's a pretty sweet setup. This is an old door. These are plastic cable reels that I found for free. And this was actually 80 bucks, that was expensive. A trough, which I used to have plants in too, but it's from a feed store. Anyway, this is ye old tank. I made a background. Actually, I'll make a video about that sometime too. This background is just paper grocery bags. Try to flip the camera over and see, just regular paper grocery bags, spray painted black. Just spray painted it outside, of course, not in the house, and taped it on good old tape. I like to keep, since the sides of this are open, and we may be getting a little sunlight, this will be one of my first experiences with sunlight in the planted tank too, so hopefully that's not a disaster. There's always a potential for disaster, isn't there? It's exciting, living on the edge. So anyway, I'm using the plants to shield out a little bit of sunlight and just see how it goes. If I get, a crap load of algae, I'll put another piece of this sprayed black paper on each side. That's that. Okay, so I want to talk about substrate. This is going to have about, I'm going to shoot for a 1/2 inch, not packed, but just a 1/2 inch of light fluffy dirt. Mixed with laterite, mixed with that crushed coral, covered with, this is all-purpose gravel that I got at ACO. It was a 50-pound bag. I think it was $6.99. It was either $5.99 or $6.99. It was so cheap. I also have, this is some Onx sand blended in there, which is a pain in the ass and I don't like to use, but there it is. The only problem with this gravel is, and it's funny because it says right on the bag, like, no rinsing needed. Well, rinsing is needed because this shit is covered with silt. And if you just put it in your tank and fill the tank up, it'll be cloudy forever. The best thing to do is rinse it outside with a bucket and a hose. If you're like me and you live in an apartment, you gotta just put it in a big bucket, 5-gallon bucket, in the bathtub, run the water, sort of stir it up, and gently pour the water off until it becomes clear. I've also got some pieces of basalt. I live with a bunch of artists in this area, and basalt's very common here in Portland, and somebody near me does sculpture, and they end up with all these pieces cut off, and so they've been giving them to me. So I'm going to put those probably at where the filter spills down so that it doesn't disturb the substrate. This is a filter possibly too big for this tank. It's rated for 40 gallons. But I'm thinking once it gets up and running, it'll slow way down. I'm hoping. If not, we might have an issue. But what I've done so far here is, this is the same dirt, the organic choice that was over in that other tank. It's, yeah, same dirt that's in there. There's my cute cat, being cute. I just sort of put it in here to get an idea of the height and to sort of let it dry out. I don't know why it's, I don't know if this stuff has a wetting agent or what, but it's taken a while to dry out. I've been reading about mineralizing the soil a lot and going back and forth on like how many times to wet it, let it dry, wet it, let it dry. I'm probably, at this point, because the laterite's going to be here any day, I'm probably only going to let it dry out once, and then I'm just going to moisten it again before putting this layer of gravel on top of the soil mixture. There was another really good YouTube video on here that I'd love to link to that talks extensively about amendments to put in your soil that is just wonderful. Chemical free, a lot of stuff that I used in like garden growing. So that's super interesting to me, and I want to read more about it. I am wondering if this gravel is dark enough. I might have to break down and buy some just Estes black crappy gravel, and you know, it's cheap. But this color, it's not as bad as brown, but light gray kind of, don't really float my boat either. We'll see. So in my last video, I was talking about the plants that are going to go in here. Because this is a brand new tank with soil, you know, your number one thing isn't looking pretty, it's controlling algae. So I'm going to put in a shitload of duckweed, water lettuce, water wisteria, which I don't even like, but it's going to suck up all the nitrates. You know, an Amazon sword. I just want to, you know, outcompete the algae. And I'm not even going to think about fish for a while, and I will try to hold myself to that. We'll see. I'm giving myself the date of my birthday, which is February 8th. If I set this up sometime by the, I don't know, today's the 10th. If I set this up by the 15th of December, probably by February it should be stable. So we'll see. And what I'd like to do in this tank is a shitload of plants and glass catfish. I wanted glass catfish for a very, very long time. That's part of the reason for the ginormous filter. So that's that. Sometime I'll make a video about my orchids because they are doing really well too. And yeah, so I will probably do another update when I get the lathrite and actually put this whole thing together and show you how I fill it, that sort of thing. So until then, see you later.